The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello everyone, you're welcome to Leadership Podcast. It's yet another edition of The Big Issue. And of course, as usual, I'm your regular host, George Agba is my name. And with me here in the studio, our in-house analyst. We have Paul Agbo Augustine and Chibuzo Okaibe.
Thank you.
Well, together we'll be taking on the big issue of the day, which is APC zoning convention crisis as Buhari steps in after the storm. President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday met with the progressive governors, as governors elected on the platform of the All Progressives Congress. And of course, the meeting's agenda bordered on the zoning of the party position and the date for the party's national convention that was fixed on March 26. And of course, the governing party on Monday postponed its convention from the original date it had earlier announced, which is February 26, to March 26. That is a postponement by 1 month. And of course, that had caused serious disquiet in the party because most party faithful were very, very aggrieved over the idea that the convention of the party had been postponed for more than 4 times. And of course, while it was so, was because the governors were very busy trying to arrive at a consensus. And of course, to agree on which zones the national chairmanship should be a zone to and other party offices. And of course, after their meeting last week, they arrived at an agreement where they now met President Muhammadu Buhari after another meeting on Monday night to iron out the gray areas on the national convention. And of course, it was now agreed that the chairmanship of the party should be zoned to the North Central, while the Southeast will get national secretary, deputy national chairman, and the South national secretary. Well, Chibuzo, you know that before this, it had been a very turbulent period for the governing party. And you could imagine what would have happened. And the funniest thing is that all this while, most people were saying these things were happening because the leader of the party, President Muhammadu Buhari, had been aloof, had been away. And this had put the party under serious pressure. Now that they met with President Muhammadu Buhari, I think it was like a resolution of conflict yesterday when they came out and said they have arrived at a consensus on zoning arrangements, and then they ratified the date for the convention. What does this tell you? That tells you that most Nigerians feel that it was because Buhari had always stayed away from the party. That is why the party finds it difficult to resolve most of its internal issues. Don't you think so?
I think you've said it all.
That is
the thinking of.
That is the thinking of Nigeria.
That's the thinking of most Nigerians.
Yeah.
If the president had stepped in much earlier, perhaps we would have gone past this stage. We would have had the convention, and perhaps we would have been preparing for the politics of the primary itself. But again, the president has not always been somebody who is quite quick to react to issues. He seems to prefer allowing things get to the last minute. He's a last minute kind of guy. So we've seen that a couple of times, even in the way he has handled some major national issues. Unfortunately, it has created less tension within the party, created a lot of dissension among members, needless agitations. Some people have been campaigning for the past 20 months. Some money that we told me several times. He has been on the road for 20 good months, spending money, meeting delegates and all of that. And the uncertainty that trailed all of this process had a toll on his campaign. And I'm sure other aspirants will say the same thing as well. So Well, yes. At the end of the day, you say all that ends well. Ends well, as they say. But I believe that if the president has stepped in much earlier, like both said, there probably wouldn't have been a need for all of the crisis or all of the turbulence that we saw in the past,
Well,
which could have gone out of hand.
out
in
of
any
hand,
case.
of course. Paul, you heard what Tebuzo said. At least the president's decision to stay away from party issues and leaving the party members, the governors to start battling with themselves is indeed responsible for this prolonged, protracted squabbles over the national convention and the zoning of party offices in that party. Of course, that goes a long way to show that in a country like Nigeria, despite having a national chairman, most political parties, like the major ones, PDP, though it's not in power, of course,
But they had that history.
they had that history too. The governing party now, the APC, would find it difficult to take decisions and stand by it. Among governors, the party leadership, have the president interfering. Why is it so?
But I want to start my comment by looking at what the PDP reaction to the current developments.
Yes, that reminds me before you go. That is why PDP mocked
Yes.
APC and say it is a disorganized party,
Yes.
irresponsible party.
And the president has been agreed most times, and not only on party affairs, even on national affairs. National issue. The president does not take decision at the time. It does not give Nigerians the confidence that they have leadership that cares, that is proactive, that try to lead in both issues, catch your problem before it gets out. But the president will sit down and allow the problem to fester to the level that people will start losing confidence in the leadership of the country. Look at this issue, look at the case of, as Minister of Petroleum, the issue of refinery for several years. He had the experience before. Not that he didn't have the experience. He was Minister of Petroleum way back. And now Minister of Petroleum, several years, we are still importing fuel to the level that we don't even have pity on Nigerians. We even imported adulterated fuel. So the issue of APC, the president should have taken a firm position as to how the party, the direction which the party takes. Not allowing the Buni critical committee to be postponing convention. It makes even the party members are losing confidence in the leadership of the APC. George, let us also have it at the back of our mind that several state crises have not been resolved. You have the Kwara, you have the Oshun, you have the Enugu, even states where the APC are not in charge, Rivers. So even at the March 26th convention, which delegate will come to Abuja? Which delegate? Which faction? Will they be able to resolve the crisis at the state level? Because the state will produce the delegates. Even though it's going to be by consensus, even they choose to elect or to have their leadership by consensus, it must be affirmed by the delegate. So whose faction will come to Abuja? Is it the Lai Mohammed faction from Kwara or the governor's faction? Or is it the Aregbesional's faction or Eritola's faction? The same applies to Akwa Ibom. Funny enough, Akwa Ibom, they have almost 3 factions there. In Akwa Ibom, in Rivers, the same thing. In Oyo, the problem. So if they can't resolve some of these issues, I doubt if the affirmation or whatever election for March 26 we hold or without crisis. So the president allow this problem to fester to the level that it has become a public relation issue
before wading in.
Yes. So I think his intervention now is too late. He doesn't speak well of the governing party. APC is the largest political party in Africa. Any party that is in charge of the federal government in Nigeria is assumed to be the largest political party
in Africa.
And you can't manage yourself. How can you then conduct a fair election come 2023? Look at the electoral bill. Nigerians are literally begging the president
to sign it.
After rejecting it how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times.
Well, the electoral bill matter, the presidency has actually come out with, the presidency, to say there's no cause for alarm. The presidential spokesman, Femi Adesina, spoke on China and said that the president could sign it any moment from now. It could be 24 hours, it could be 48 hours. We are still waiting for that one. Anyway, the issue now is the APC crisis and President Buhari's aloofness. Chubuzo, the PDP was very busy mocking the governing APC yesterday and saying that it shows how irresponsible and disorganized the party is. But most Nigerians are saying that that kind of thing is like a kettle calling pot black, because they say when PDP was in power, the same kind of circle of crisis was what made the ruling party. Although in the case of PDP, they had presidents who were too direct in taking their decisions for the party, like Obasanjo, who was said to have put a gun on a former chairman, allegedly, and say you must resign after a very hot pandeyam and what kind of soup?
But Obasanjo was in charge.
That's what I think.
He was in charge.
Yes. But what Nigerians are saying that look at PDP, look at it, they call him pot black. They're coming to call APC disorganized and irresponsible. At the end of the day, what would you say? I say that the parties are two sides of the coin. PDP has no moral ground to begin to is it mocking or the governing APC. What do you have to say in this?
Well, the way it is. First, you have to look at things from a number of perspectives.
Yeah.
First of all, the reason why APC was voted into power was because we said they were going to do things differently. We were going to ensure that all of the things that PDP did, they were going to undo them, including party administration and all of that. My brother, as we speak, they've even done far worse than what PDP had. Yes, it's a given in any major political party, a ruling party at that, because of the conflicting interests, centrifugal forces and all of that. You are definitely going to have this kind of crisis in any political party. So what we saw in the PDP and what we are seeing now are almost a given. At the level of our political evolution, it's almost a given. Where you have politicians that are ambitious and all of that, politicians who think they are bigger than the party, who don't abide by party discipline, their party rules and all of that. So we are definitely going to have this kind of issue. And when you have governors who tend to be overwhelming, who tend to have this overbearing influence, or a president that tends to have an overbearing influence, you're going to have this kind of issue. So it's a given that you have this kind of. But the difference, however, between the PDP and the APC, as we have come to see now, looking at how PDP handled theirs and how APC handled theirs, is in the fact that PDP appears to have a much more robust way of managing its conflict. They are much more tactical and skillful in managing crisis than what we have seen in the APC. As we speak today, I don't even want to look at PDP's recent convention that just happened. I don't want to look at those ones because you would assume, they are in the opposition. That is why they seem to have it together now. When PDP was a ruling party, there was no time they didn't have a neck. There was no time they didn't hold conventions as of when and when due. There was no time they didn't have a BOT. As we speak in the APC, when was the last time the APC had a neck meeting?
like a really neck meeting.
It does not even have.
As we speak, they do not have a BOT.
The truth of the matter is that APC does not have.
As we speak,
APC
there's
does not have an established leadership. It's an interim leadership.
So they can see the difference is stark.
The party has no BOT, mind you.
There is no BOT. It is it's like night and day. As deplorable as what PDP was doing at the time. But what we are seeing now is
totally.
In fact, it is below bar.
Total deviation.
So it is very clear. Well, that is what PDP. That is the audacity with which PDP
is coming out
to say.
Just like saying,
guys,
you claim you will do things different.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, look at
exactly.
You are worse off.
So when people say, "Oh, PDP calling that to black," well, it depends on who they want to call as kettle and
what to call the pot. But which one should be blacker? Is it the pot that is supposed to be more black, or the kettle?
It depends on who.
Because if
it depends on the fire who's within the fire.
Because at the end of the day, anyone, if it's the pot that is supposed to be blacker than the kettle, then in this case, we'll likely say PDP saying that.
See one thing with APC that didn't catch my fancy is the copycat posture towards this national.
The swapping of position.
Yes, the swapping of position. It's just a copycat. They just copied what
Of course.
I thought they were going to do something different.
Well, we'll come back to that. Let's just quickly take a short break. And we'll do that. We expect our viewers to send in their comments to contribute constructively to the discussions on the big issue. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go offline.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We are still on the big issue in Leadership Podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day is the zoning and convention crisis of the governing APC and the wedding in of President Muhammadu Buhari after the storm. Paul, you see, at the meeting between the president and the APC governors, I think what they arrived at appears to be very, very similar with what PDP did. They zoned the national chairmanship position to the northeast, to the north central, and I think the deputy national chairman for north goes to the northeast. Then the deputy national chairman for goes to south. So it's like position swapping. Of course, it is similar thing PDP did.
It's a copycat. What it's not similar. It's copycat. It's copycat. And somehow you can say.
But before you continue, are we not happy? Yes, good. It's a copycat.
They plagiarize the PDP. See, there's something new.
I think we must hold the PPC under this copyright. This
PDP.
Yeah.
And it look as if they are just waiting for the opposition to take decision before they
will now come.
Follow. They will take it through, and that is not good. We expect the APC to come out with something unique, something that party members that 41 million, the so-called 41 million members, will be highly elated, will be excited that something new is coming. There's nothing new in this arrangement. So now they'll be waiting.
I saying they are being bad copycats.
They are
terrible copycats.
They are terrible.
Under the copyright law, at least there was a bad model them.
Because that is why the PDP has the temerity to mock them. That is why the PDP is mocking them. So now the PDP can boldly say, look, let us sit down and take decision. We should not even be scared of APC because they don't have any idea. They are bereft of any political strategy because they are waiting to take a cue from us.
From what PDP?
Yes. The national chairman is coming from the north central to be precise. It's obvious now that the presidential candidate will likely come from the south. The way it's being mooted in the PDP. So we're likely to see a southern candidate in both parties. So it's obvious that the APC is just copying or following, taking a cue
from what the PDP is.
So there's something we know where the presidential candidate will come from now. So it doesn't inspire confidence.
All right.
Honestly, what is happening, development in the APC does not inspire confidence at all.
Well, you heard what Paul said. He said that what we are seeing here is a copy APC. It was just a rehash of what PDP did in the zoning arrangement. But I'm looking at it this way. Would it not possibly be that what the APC did was to bow to the whims of most prominent Nigerians and groups who had been insisting that, look, if you must do your zoning arrangement, they made two major political parties in the country. Let it be in a manner that it will pave way for the next president of the country to come from the south. You know, there has been such agitation and call. So, in my own opinion, I don't think, I'm just feeling that it might not necessarily be copy and paste that the APC did. So what they did was to fit to the call of most Nigerians that had been insisting that power to return to the south. And so, in their zoning arrangement, they should fashion it in a manner that the south should produce the next president.
I think so. So they have a zoning arrangement.
Perhaps. And I think apart from the party from the party level, there's a larger kind of a clamor.
Well, they do not need prominent Nigerians to make them understand that the presidency in their party has to go to the other side of the country. We do not need that kind of prompting at all. Also, with regards to the way they have done the swap thing, it doesn't necessarily mean they must come from that particular zone. People expect that they can sit down and create something, a different political paradigm. That is the thinking about most Nigerians. You are coming and you are saying you want to change things. What new political paradigm have you brought? As a political party, what new political paradigm has APC brought? How has the party deepened our democratic experience beyond all of these things? Because in effect, it's all what they've been doing. It's just a copy of all PDP has been doing. They are playing from PDP's playbook. And the painful part is that they're not even doing a good job of it. If they were improving on it, I would have said, okay, fine.
It's a different thing.
There's nothing wrong in taking a few leaves from somebody's pages. But if you are not doing a good work, if you are not bringing anything and enhancing what they already have on ground, then what have you done? Because as it stands now, we just railed out a couple of reasons why the PDP has the audacity to lambast them or to mock them, if you will. Party structures non-existent. We've been running. In fact, there's even a constitutional crisis, a constitutional problem they have, and these are the problems. How can you have a sitting governor on a party? And the constitution is very clear on that. So, what new thing have they brought to the table to say, okay, this is what we are bringing to ensure that the democratic process is enhanced? Ordinary, I don't want to use the word ordinary. I'm using ordinary because it has become the base thing that they ought to have done. And that's the expression of ordinary I mean, not necessarily because it's what ordinary electoral amendments is at the base. It's a party APC has not been able to achieve in the past 7 years. So what new thing are they bringing? What can we point to and say this party has done this to elevate our political discourse in the country? Absolutely not. In any case, what they've done is to pull down the little progress we had made
in the country's political
discourse. So there's one other thing again. So to allow individuals to start a subtle campaign for months. As a party, you would have you would have told them that, look, halt all your political campaign because we have not arrived at a decision.
Yeah.
Now, the governors took a decision, went to the president, met the president, and arrived. Did they consult the individuals that have indicated interest to occupy various seats in the National Working Committee of the APC? Were they consulted? No. By March 26th now, you will hear consensus. Will they get the buy-in of all these gentlemen that have indicated interest? You mentioned somebody who has been moving around
20 months. 20 good months.
20 months.
In fact, he was
And
the
you
first
remember
person that
in the
declared.
Electoral Act, although yet to be signed, that you must get the buy-in of all aspirants in an election. So will the APC be able to get?
So you can see more reason why they might not sign that document.
Will the APC get the buy-in of all these aspirants that are probably angry over this shift because they spent money? Will they return their money back to them? So that's another issue. If they arrive because they are heading towards consensus, will they get the buy-in of all these gentlemen, party members that have indicated interest to occupy various positions in the party? That's another issue. And that's why I say I have mixed feeling over APC conducting or having or holding its convention March 26th. I have mixed feeling.
It's all right. Well, that is the much we can take for today's edition of the big issue. And of course, the governing All Progressive Congress may have had a little resolution of the crisis rocking the party at the border on zoning, consensus, and the dates for the National Convention after meeting with the president. And from this point, let's hear events unfold in the party ahead of the party's National Convention fixed for March 26. Thank you for keeping tab with us. And of course, I will thank our in-house analysts for actually addressing the big issue the way it is. Join us same time for another edition of this program tomorrow. Do have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.